NBS Household Survey 2018-2019 to assist in boosting agricultural production. Banking system records 800.21 million volume of transactions in the third quarter of 2019. And experts in oil and gas predict fall in prices as 35th OPEC meetings open in Vienna. Details of these and more on this edition of Business Express, reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital. And I am Muplang Dakok. It's good to know you're still with us. The Federation Accounts Allocation Committee, FAC, disbursed 2.273 trillion naira to the 3 tiers of government and other statutory recipients between July and September of this year. The FAC disbursement hit 2 trillion naira in the third quarter of 2019, the first time since fourth quarter 2018. The disbursement was 18.79% higher than the 1.913 trillion naira disbursed in the second quarter of 2019 and 17.81% higher than the amount in the first quarter of the year. The data in the latest edition of the quarterly review by the Nigerian Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative further shows that the federal government received 920.2 billion naira, while the states and local governments received 724.16 billion naira. A closer examination shows that the amount received by the federal government in the third quarter of 2019 was 15.6 percentage points higher than the 795.8 billion naira it received in the second quarter. For the states, the amount was 9.6 percentage points higher than the amount received by the local governments for the same period, which was 12.0 percentage points higher than that received in the second quarter. In line with federal government's continued quest to diversify the economy as well as develop the agriculture sector to provide the much-needed employment for the growing population, the National Bureau of Statistics has launched its fourth wave General Household 2018-2019 Survey Panel Report. The report, which sampled approximately 5,000 households across Nigeria, is a model that helps in understanding how agriculture may impact household welfare over time, as well as add to the human and fiscal capital of households and how government policies and programs can assist in reducing poverty.
Without data, you cannot plan. Without planning, you can't execute. Without executing, you can't develop. Without developing, you can't improve the people.
These results will no doubt provide a rich and valuable source of information to support government's efforts along this line. It will also help investors and operators within the agricultural sector with information that supports their work.
What's unique about this one, it's interviewed the same households over time, 4 times now, over a period of 10 years. So actually that gives you a different lens and perspective on, okay, how have households, how have they fared over time? And that too is very important and can help government figure out how to help households get on an upward trajectory out of poverty.
Say planning, design, and implementation of the survey will effectively impact on the welfare of citizens. The federal government is leaving no stone unturned as far as the Nigerian woman is concerned. The Minister of Women Affairs brought together women from across the Federal Capital Territory to talk about how women can enhance their businesses. Bosede Abel reports.
There is a saying that when you educate and empower a woman, you educate a whole nation. Now, over 600 women are here at the Cyprian Ekwensi's Center for Art and Culture in Abuja for a 2-day capacity building and training on business growth and sustainability.
Wow. In fact, exactly what they call it, capacity building training. In fact, for the about 2 minutes I've stayed here, in fact, it seems as if I wasted a lot of time in my business. As I'm going out now, in fact, the next 2 months, I tell you the truth. When you meet me, you will not know me again.
I'm going to achieve many things inside. And so that when I reach my site, I will tell people, say, see, wait till I see that side. I'm so happy.
It will help them in growing their business for the betterment of our country.
Now the Ministry of Women Affairs, in pursuit of the present administration's economic diversification, has assembled Mary and other women to train them on growth and business sustainability.
Globally, entrepreneurship in small, medium and large scale have been accepted as the engine of economic growth and promoting equitable development.
Exposure of the women will ensure poverty reduction and translate to accelerated business growth and sustainability.
This program is geared towards exposing the women to information and upgrading their productivity. In Abuja, I am Bosede Abel, NTA News.
Now, the banking sector recorded 800.2 million volume of transactions valued at 42.76 trillion naira within the third quarter of this year. The figure is contained in the banking sector report released by the National Bureau of Statistics on Tuesday. The report says Nigerian interbank settlement system instant payment transactions dominated the volume of transactions recorded with about 298.9 million volume valued at 26.18 trillion naira. The report puts the total value of credit allocated by banks at 16.25 trillion naira in the period under review. And talking securities, the federal government has opened applications for the last set of savings bonds to be issued this year. The Debt Management Office, DMO, says the first issuance is a 2-year bond having a voucher of 9.091% with a maturity date of December 11, 2021. The second issuance is a 3-year bond of 10.091% that will mature December 11, 2022. Application lists for the 2 issues opened Monday, December 2nd, 2019 and will run into Friday, December 6, 2019, while the settlement date is fixed for Wednesday, December 11, 2019. The bonds will be listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange and FMDQ Securities Exchange. And on the stock market, the NSE All Share Index lost 0.02% this Wednesday to close at 26,938.5 basis points. Market capitalization stood at 13 trillion naira, while investors invested 112.8 million volume of shares valued at 1 billion naira. Unilever, CCNN, May and Baker were the top gainers for the day, while Sterling Bank, UBA and Zenith Bank led the losers. The toast of investors were Zenith Bank, FCMB and UBA. As activities on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange begin to wind down for the year, we have a stockbroker, Emmanuel Howard Ali, with us in the studio to talk about the performance of the market so far and what to expect in the year 2020. Mr. Ali, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Ali is with Standard Union Securities. It's a pleasure having you.
Pleasure is mine.
All right. So the stock market has been, you know, on up and down basis, I would say. Today, it's the third straight day of losses for this week. We saw that the market lost Monday, it lost yesterday, Tuesday, and today it's still negative. So what could be responsible for these losses?
Of course, there are other factors that are responsible for the loss in the stock market. There has been a prior gain. For the past 2 weeks, the market has been on a winning streak. So profit takers are acting on your profit they've seen, so they're taking away the profit. That accounts for why the market is declining. But all the same, the trend is up. And of course, you agree with me that the losses are marginal. 0.02. It's quite marginal.
Okay.
So in any other trading day, maybe tomorrow, if it gains 1%, it would have reversed all the losses that it has sustained for the past 3 days. So I would say the market is still up.
Okay. All right. We noticed that the financial industry, services industry, which has always been the gainers, today recorded the highest number of losers. What's happening to the financial sector?
The financial sector is still good. It's the most active segment of the stock market, but it has witnessed substantial gain. So profit takers are acting on the gain they
Okay, the
can.
same reason for
Of course,
the drop in the
they are cashing on their gains.
Okay.
So that accounts for why it's declining.
Okay. So let's talk about the clash between the bulls and the bears, which started since from beginning of the year. So can you take us through the activities on the stock market since the year 2019 started?
Yes, a lot of reasons will account for why the bears seem to be taking the lead. Of course, 2019 is an electioneering year, so investors factored political risk into their investment decisions. So that done with, there are other factors such as the crash in treasury bills rate. Investors are migrating from the fixed income segment of the market to the equities, since it offers attractive yield to them. So that explains why the market has been a mixed reaction between the bulls and the bears. The bears seem to be making headway, but of course the bulls come from behind and wipe away any loss that we may have encountered in the market.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about the trends in the market still. The investors' sentiment seems to have been a little bit low based on some of the things you talked about, like the political year, the electioneering year, and so on. So what could be the reason for this low investor or investment sentiment?
Low investor sentiment is the returns that the returns determine the sentiments that investors will have. If the market is recording losses, the bears are taking charge. Investors will want to hold back and wait till when the bulls are raging. That's when they come in. But it's really about a good time to come into the market now, because prices of securities are trading at an all-time low.
Yeah, I was going to ask you whether this is a good time for investors to go into the market.
Of course, it's a definite yes.
Okay.
When investors come into the market at the tail end of the year, December, and the results will start trickling in by first quarter of next year. So their withholding period is about 3 months. It offers, most companies will pay a dividend yield that is in excess of 5%, 5, 6, 7%. So when you're investing and you're getting a return of 7% within 3 months time frame, I think it's an excellent investment, other than doing a money market instrument that pays you a fixed income of 6.5 or thereabout for 91 days. When you annualize it, it's just about 1.5% return. So when you compare 1.5% and 6, 7% that the dividend yield will pay you when you invest in equities, I think it's more attractive to go to the equities because your returns tend to be higher.
Okay, so based on what you just said, what do you expect to see playing out on the stock market this December till maybe early January?
The bullish trend will resume.
Okay.
It will not only resume, it will stampede. The bulls will stampede. As a lot of profit takers have finished acting on their activities, the market will go back to the bullish trend that we've been witnessing. As I earlier on told you, the bearish trend is just very marginal. So just one trading day can wipe out all the losses we've been having over the last 2 weeks.
All right, let's move away from the stock market a bit. The Central Bank Governor, Godwin Emefiele, recently said that the weekly interventions by the Central Bank into the forex market has helped to stabilize the Naira for the past 29 months or thereabout. So what's your take about that? Do you really see that played out to stabilize the Naira?
Yes, I definitely think it did play out to stabilize the Naira. There are a lot of pressures acting on the Naira. So CBN has done a good thing by intervening to sustain the value of the Naira relative to the dollar. If Central Bank does not sustain it, investors look for certainty, and they should be able to predict how much their returns will be. So when the Naira is not supported and they are repatriating their profit, they may end up making a loss. Let's say the Naira depreciated 6% relative to the dollar, and your returns on investment is 5%. That means you're still in the negative region with 1%. So if there's certainty in the exchange rate as a result of CBN intervention, investors will have renewed confidence because they know when they are repatriating their funds back to their country, it's going to be close to what they anticipated.
Okay.
Subject.
So it has been a good thing for the stock market as well.
It's an excellent development for the stock market. So I'll say much thanks to the monetary authorities for having come up with the intervention policy to support the Naira relative to the dollar.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel Ali, with the Standard Union Securities
here in Abuja.
Thank you so much for coming on the program. We now move on to the global markets, where stock futures climb on reports that US-China trade talks are still progressing despite Trump comments. For details of global market activity, Bosede Ebel is our guide.
Global market for 4th December 2019 adjusted to global trade developments after President Donald Trump said a limited trade agreement with China might have to wait until after the 2020 presidential election. Stocks in Asia mostly slipped over President Trump's statement on US-China's trade agreement. The Nikkei fell 1.05% to close at 23,135.23. Shanghai Composite was down 0.23% to about 2,878.12, and the Hang Seng Index also declined by 1.25% as of its final hour of trading. Meanwhile, in the United States, stocks were bearish as investors expect that stocks would pick up sooner. The Dow Jones Industrial Average depreciated by 1.01%, the S&P 500 0.66%, and the Nasdaq Composite also dropped 0.55%. Here in Africa, the bourses were bullish. South Africa's JSE Africa Top 40 appreciated 0.33%, Nairobi's All-Share 0.28%, Tunisia's Tunidex 0.25%, Namibia's Overall Index 0.1%, and the Ghana's GSA Composite also was green at 0.21%.
Thank you, Bosede. Time now to see prices of commodities on the domestic and global markets. We now take you through the news trending in business circles this week. And how is the Naira exchanging for other international currencies? We just have enough time to find out. And that brings us to the end of this edition of Business Express. You can access all previous episodes on YouTube, and you can communicate with us on Twitter. The handle is @NTA News Now. The hashtag is BizX. We value your feedback, so keep the mails coming and join us again on Wednesday for another episode of the program. I am Muplang Dakok, urging you to keep thinking and doing business.